Hello there, and welcome to the CP7 podcast. My name's Palm.
And I'm Andy.
And together, we are Chrono Passion 7. Hello, and welcome back to your favourite watch-related podcast. We've got a guest today, a big guest. He used to be our man in Amsterdam. Now he's getting down in London town. We have none other than Alon Ben Joseph from The Real Time Show and Ace Jewelers. Welcome, Alon. How are you?
Andy Parm, thank you so much for having me on the show. And I really hope that you weren't talking about my waist when you were saying a big guy.
Big in fame.
No,
Big in fame and still not stature.
it must precede me, but I'm very happy to be here. I'm a big fan of your show. Love anything that is CP7. I was just counting. This must be episode 70. So you guys have been running already for 3 years. I remember vividly meeting you guys in Geneva.
Yes.
So we had a lot of fun. I remember at all the parties we were visiting. So thank you for having me, gentlemen.
It's an absolute pleasure, Alan. It's great to have you on the show. Yeah, we want to find out a bit more about you for ourselves and for our listeners, and just see how you're getting on in general. But before we get into all of that, look, we'll want to know what's on your wrist day, what you're wearing.
You won't believe it. I was just giving my baby girl a bath, and I was wearing the prototype by Ming of the 5704 Phoenix.
Okay.
So the new Destro chronograph they launched last week.
Very nice.
Oh, right.
It actually arrived today, so I was rocking that, and I was mesmerized by it. But as it's not my watch, and it is a waterproof watch, I always take it off out of respect.
Okay.
So I had to
makes
rush
sense.
to get onto this recording. So it's lying in the bathroom now.
So the bath floated around somewhere.
You could have worn a Cartier Banois. That would have been more fitting then, really, wouldn't it?
Literally, yeah. I'm actually trying to get that Banoir on my wife's wish list, actually. So it's funny for you to mention that, because a lot of people don't know what Banoir means.
Yeah, it means bathtub.
Hmm.
Andy, what have you got on your wrist?
Ooh, there is a story behind this watch, and I won't tell it on this show.
It's a long story.
I'm wearing an Audemars Piguet 5043 in platinum, which is a very slim and a very rare watch. It's easy to find white gold, yellow gold, but platinum, it's somewhat of a unicorn. But it's been quite a demanding watch, needing a few services here and there. Hence, it's named the Diva for now. But it's a really cool watch. It's working all great now, but that's what's on my wrist. Long story short, but there is a big story behind it. But Pam, over to you. What's on the wrist?
I just want to add that you could do a whole episode on that.
Oh,
So I'm not
could
sure.
be
It
2
might be
hours
to
long.
be continued.
Yeah.
It could be 10-part. We don't know if it's still going to behave. But I have a loan watch also on the wrist, kindly loaned to me by Alon himself. It is the Sherpa, the Real Time Show OPS Super Compressor, 40mm, brushed stainless steel, orange second hand, which is so cool. And the minute track is bezel controlled as it's a super compressor. And a really nice watch. It's such a well-made watch, this one. Actually, Alon, do you want to give us a bit more insight into this?
I totally forgot I gave you that watch. That is actually my personal piece that has been on a world tour, and it's not been around the world in 80 days. It's something like 800 days. No, but all kidding aside, I'm very proud of that watch. That was the first collab that Rob Nuds, my co-host with the Real Time Show, and I did with Martin Klokke, the owner of Sherpa Watches, because I love, obviously, dive watch like a lot of people. And I always loved, as you eloquently said, a crown-operated bezel. So a dive bezel that is not managed by actually turning it by hand, but by a crown. And their heritage lies in the fact that they were built as super compressors. And today we'll see a lot of re-editions that mimic that vibe and style, but aren't actually actual super compressors. So Martin Klokke is a German, and as Germans do it best, pünktlich. They are detail-oriented, man. So
Pünktlich.
Yeah, pünktlich. And he wanted to make a real tribute to the original Anycar Sherpa watches. And that is already a story in itself. I don't know if you ever invited Martin on your show, but I highly recommend to invite him. Because just the story, because if you think about it, can you mention another watch brand out there that is being created out of a model name? using a metaphor or a benchmark, it's as if Omega would spin off Speedmaster and make the Speedmaster a dedicated watch brand. That's basically what Martin did. And he actually was forced to do it because Enicar is kind of, air quote, hijacked by a third, fourth owner of that watch brand that isn't really that much alive. So he had the ability to register the model name Sherpa, and he basically builds true to original replicas, not in the sense that we use replica in the watch business, but what did he do? EPSA used to be the case maker for Enicar, who made those super compressor cases. And in a nutshell, what they do is the deeper you dive, the more compressed the case becomes, and therefore, like an oyster closes its shells and becomes more waterproof. So that's one of these patents. So he remade that. And one of the signatures for EPSA was that they used bayonet closings. What does that mean? X amount of degrees that you lock. So the engraving is always on the right position, because usually we have screwed back casebacks or click casebacks or casebacks with screws. So here you lock it an X amount. So it's always in the same position. So that's number two. And then obviously, when you look at your crown protectors, we nicknamed it the Kermit. So it looks a bit when you...
I can see that. I can see that.
When you turn the watch 90 degrees, it might look like two bulging eyes on top. So it's a very unique design. It's rather quirky. It's geeky. It is truly, I always call it triple F, form follows function. So I would dare to call it so fugly, it's beautiful. Like in Land Rover Defender. It's made,
industrial.
Yeah, and that's what it is. And a few things that really I doff my hat to Martin. I don't know if you noticed this, Palm, while wearing it. If you've held ever a Speedmaster Sapphire, a boxed Sapphire case, you'll see always a milky white shimmering in the angle when it curves down. So it doesn't really make 90 degrees, but it doesn't have it domed like a plexiglass. So it's a bit weird. If you notice, this goes towards 90 degrees angles on the Sherpa, and there's no glaring. There is no whiteness in it. There's no milkiness in it. To my mind, this is bonkers. And with the value that he positions at, it's crazy value for money. But it's still a lot of money. So it's a bit of a misunderstood baby. And the funny thing is the story behind this specific model. Martin made this version only in a blacked out DLC coded stainless steel version. And then he had the Ultra Dive, which is technically the same case, but has a less technical dial, fully shiny stainless steel. So Rob and I met him personally, by coincidence, individually, a week apart. Rob met him before Watches and Wonders in Finland, I believe, or somewhere in the Nordics. And then he didn't tell me that. And then I ran into Martin at the airport. We took a taxi together. He showed me the watches in the car. And then I'm like, dude, these watches are effing cool. And then I just blurred out, imagine you make this OPS in a fully satin blast finish. He's like, that's funny. Rob said the same thing. Did you guys prepare this to say this to me? I'm like, no, dude. So that's how we came about to make this collab. And the bracelet you have now, he actually made that later by demand. So he always had these tropical rubber straps on them because that's how they used to be delivered back in the day. And I want to emphasize, he's really, if we speak about punktlich, I don't know if you know how many methods of satination, matte finishes there are. But the most popular ones you'll find in the watch industry is when you take a polishing machine, change the cloth wheel on it. Instead of using wax to do high finished gloss polish, you'll have like a brittle brush that is a bit like your sponge that you do the dishes with. And your wife will kill you if you use the green side instead of the yellow one on the steel pad.
You've met her.
Well, bless mine. Bless mine at home. So it's exactly the same thing. The green metally bit satinates it, scratches it. So usually the brushing is done by hand on these machines, the polishing machines. When we speak about blasting, you can the most common second option is sandblasted, which is smaller grains. But if you want to go deeper and And the funny thing is when you go deeper and in a more coarse satination, it becomes almost a mother of pearl shine like vibe is when you use sapphire beads. For the fun of it, Parm, at the end of this episode, grab your box with watches, unless they're on your table in front of you, and just compare either with a good light or by daylight tomorrow morning. You'll see the finishing. And it's these little details that made me fall head over heels in love with this watch. Sorry for the long answer.
Well, yep, and that's what I've got on my wrist. No, thanks. I mean, that's why you're here. You're the man with all the information. You know, you're the man who knows. I just want to say, it does remind me of Omega Seamaster, the baby Prof, not the big. There's just certain vibes to it. There's a lot more going on the dial, but it's a very interesting watch. It's very underrated. When I first saw it, I just thought, okay, yeah, a super compressor dive watch. But then when I tried it on, I just thought, okay, the experience was much better than just the viewing.
Definitely so. And what I wanted to say as well, I salute Andy. Congrats on your new watch, A. B, my most favorite CP7 episode is the one that you tell how you've obtained that beautiful vintage Rolex that you've got. I believe it was more than a year ago. And
yeah, that's
long gone.
The tropical
long
dial,
gone.
most likely.
And no, but that was an awesome story. And I love the fact, the duality between you guys. And also that Andy used such a vintage head. It's amazing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, there's a contrast between us.
No, that's good.
Certainly, yeah.
It's good.
Yeah, you need a balance. You need a mix. You can't just have everyone agreeing with it. Oh, I like this, and yeah, I like that too. And then that's it. The end of the show. Thank you for listening. But Alon, we need to get to know you a bit better. I mean, your story, I don't know where to begin. Your family always owned Ace Jewelers in Amsterdam, and your love of watches. How did that tie together? First of all, slight family background, and then your love of watches, and then how you ended up doing what you're doing with Ace Jewelers.
Okay. I'm 46, born and raised in Amsterdam. My dad is the founder of Ace Jewelers. Back in 75, he in Amsterdam founded Ace Jewelers. But his background is he's a master diamond cutter, master diamond polisher, and a master goldsmith. So he always loved jewelry, crafted jewelry, design, manufactured with his own hands. And when he started a retail business in Amsterdam in the Netherlands, he always loved watches. So out of a passion for watches, he started slowly adding brands. And he started with the Seikos back in the 70s. And then imagine, I'm vintage 1979. When I was 4 years old, my dad came home, which he found uber fascinating, were G-Shocks and swatches. He's like, look, plastic watches. And that triggered something in me. You can guess already what my first watch was a Swatch watch from 1983. And I couldn't even read the time. So did I have a choice not to fall in love? Yeah, of course. My parents never forced anything upon me. But imagine in what era I grew up, because 83, swatches, G-Shocks. And then 85, my dad came home one day, I remember that vividly, with a Breitling chronomat with the Frecce Tricolore and the Rouleau bracelets. That was a big, chunky watch where the trend was very thin. Quartz race. I don't know if you guys ever heard of the Concorde Delirium. Seiko La Salle. It's funny. Yeah, the listeners, you don't see the images. I'm looking at Andy and Parm simultaneously. Andy's smiling.
So that's my bad.
Andy's smiling, putting his thumb up, and Parm is shaking his head no. And this is awesome about watch nerds and watch collectors. Put 12 collectors in a room, you have 25 styles and opinions. And that's the beauty of it. And we all learn something from each other. So coming from ultra slim quartz era, suddenly you have a Breitling chronomat, which back in the day, I think was 40 millimeters. I don't remember exactly. Big, chunky. The Valjoux 7050 Roto made a lot of noise. And then my dad came home with a Da Vinci perpetual calendar. Calendar by Kurt Klaus with these floating lugs, which was a style break. My dad is a very technical guy, and that's where my love comes for the Sherpa. He rocked Porsche design watches made by IWC from 1970 to 1990. So the golden era of that collab between Porsche design and IWC was titanium. I don't know if you guys remember. You had the titanium compass watch. You had the Ocean 2000.
Yep.
You had the chronograph with the integrated push pieces. So that's where my passion for titanium comes from, and deep satin finishes. So as an goldsmith, loving metals and finishes, he taught me that appreciation. And also, it fascinated him how they made titanium watches. Because technically, if I'm correct on this, but please do comment in the comment section if I'm wrong. I think Citizen was the first ever to make titanium watches. But in Europe, it used to be IWC, I think. So we need to double check that timeline. But so that's an interesting era.
I think it was Citizen.
So coming up with that age, I with this evolution of the revival of mechanical, and I always worked in the family business as a kid. Holidays, I would save up money, bought swatches. Then my first was a Tag F1, and then a Breitling Colt. And I've never shook the bug. And there is a danger to being fortunate and blessed to work in the family business and being surrounded by watches, because it can also tarnish your passion and your fun. And one of the funnest things I've did is not only create our podcast, but what we're doing tonight is a hobby to me. I didn't even know what we're going to discuss. I didn't ask you what you expect of me. You asked me, I immediately said yes, because this is what I enjoy. And Parm, you've seen me also at events in London. At our own events, I feel like a guest. I don't feel like a host. Sometimes I forget that I need to welcome people and give a speech. So
now, Alon is a big ball of energy, always smiling and always something positive to say, always positive, and always, I always find I learn something from you every time I speak to you. So
thank you.
That's always a good sign.
Yeah, but that's the fun of watches. So it's not only the technicality of it or the materialistic part of it. And for some people, it can be daunting because it involves maybe a lot of cash flow, which today also is not that mandatory. Actually, this morning I was rocking my Monsieur. So I believe you were there when Simon gave me my piece.
Simon.
Yeah, so Simon Ryan from Escapement 24, a friend and a colleague of all of ours here and on this pod. And I equally enjoy that watch as well. So I like to be surprised. I definitely do not dislike quartzes. I have a lot of quartz watches, but the mechanical side of things blows my mind. And I love most when we, all us watchers, are missionaries. We try to convince people to come into our religion, in air quotes, I'm saying that. And I love the fact when people are opposers or they don't believe, and the moment it clicks in their head that they see what we feel and see, that makes my day. One of the recent disciples that I'd managed to convert is my brother-in-law. so that was great fun.
Where are you now in your collection journey? You're big on Ming. I mean, like, you do the podcast where you cover everything. You speak to industry leaders, top CEOs from top brands. Every time I see you have a distinct style of watch, and then it changes. And then, like Ming, Patek Philippe, and then Sherpa, it changes.
There is no style. There is no theme. There is no... I'm all over the place. And the worst thing of it all is, I always joke around on our own pod that this pod is not good for me and my wallet. You would suggest or think that the more you talk about it, you scratch an itch or you get away with satisfying that urge or need. For our listeners, both hosts are shaking their head no. They know exactly what I'm talking about.
It gets worse.
The curse is it gets worse. And with our pod, the more episodes we did, the more I start buying. And it went all over. And let's be realistic. 50% at least, maybe 80% is often storytelling as well. It's not just the sheer product or branding. And branding often is storytelling, but it's the people behind the brand. And I'm actually, one of the most recent things I got excited about is my barrel hand is coming in. I bought into the first batch of chapter 3. So this is an American project.
Which one is that? Sorry?
This is Karel Bachhand, the founder of Barrel Hand. Another guy I think you guys should invite on your show. Very cool story. He started as a student, tech student, that by scrolling somewhere online found Uhrwerk, and that blew his mind. So beautiful story where a techie becomes a watch nerd. So from 0 and 1s, they'll go to analog and mechanical. Those are the most fun, by the way, to convert. These tech bros.
Okay.
So he is such a geek and an engineer. He started building a replica of an Uhrwerk from scratch. So he's autodidactic. And the cool thing is why I love Felix and Martin so much, the founders of Uhrwerk. He reached out to them. Instead of suing him, they invited him to come to their ateliers to fanboy out on the brand. And that's how it should be. And ever since they're in touch, then he made a real watch, which he sold by series. And maybe I'm even mistaken. Maybe the watch I'm buying now is the second chapter. I lost track because I've been waiting for it for over a year. And their mission is to make actually space mission watches. So obviously they have to be mechanical. So it's a very cool story, but I won't bore the listeners on this topic. For me, this is the new chapter of speedy watches, let's say. They're pushing the frontier and the boundaries on the storytelling behind mission watches. And I've mentioned already why I love the Sherpa so much, the triple F, form follows function. So they do that as well, at barrel, hand. These kind of things fascinate me, but I guess you guys know exactly how I feel. I'm like a junkie looking from the one high to the next high, the next ecstasy, the next drip,
Exactly, the high chaser.
Yeah, and I still buy G-Shocks and I still buy swatches. Last week, a buddy of mine who's also a watch journalist and became retailer said, Alon, I collect all the city swatches. Do you mind grabbing me the new Amsterdam one? So I said, dude, of course, it's a good excuse to go to another store. So I went to the swatch store. By the way, I want to make a little bet with you guys on there. I forgot to post this on my Instagram last week. What do you guys think is going to be the next plastic watch made by the Swatch Group?
Oh, that's a good one.
I think
thought they stopped.
Well, they're still going, but what third brand do you think they're going to do? Because I got a hint in that store, I think.
So really? When we first started, we did a show on what we thought was going to be the next one. This was after the 50 Fathoms, because they'd released the 50 Fathoms and then it kind of stopped for a year or so. I don't know if it was both of us. I remember thinking the Type 20, but Andy, I can't remember what you predicted.
Breguet was on the tip of my tongue there, which I don't know how I feel about it, to be honest. As a brand, I really, really respect Breguet. Such a sophisticated brand, which are overlooked somewhat. So making a plastic version would bring attention to the brand, but I don't know if it's a correct attention. But yeah, I would agree with a Type 20, but I don't know if I'd like to see it.
A punk rock version of it. I'm not sure if it's too sophisticated.
They could make it really cool. They could do it. I'm not sure. That or of course, a Seamaster could be a choice to go to.
Yeah.
What do you reckon, Alon? With your intel?
Rob and I obviously also did this game on our episodes, and I begged that it wouldn't be Breguet because it seems a logical step while going up in the pyramid of luxury in the Swatch from Omega, Blancpain, Breguet. But I prayed to God it wouldn't be a plastic tourbillon. So,
they can do it.
I hoped it would
Don't need it.
I would hope it would be a Hamilton field watch, for example, which is a great watch for beginners getting into the mechanical world. A fantastic watch. But I don't know if you guys know who the biggest money makers are within the Swatch Group, but it's Omega, Longines, Tissot. So Longines would be a option. But so while waiting for the watch to be wrapped, because in the end I sent it as a gift to my buddy, and so I had a gift wrapped and everything for him. And while I was browsing the store, I saw a little box and a showcase at the bottom. In the middle was that 1965 gray replica of the Moon Swatch, right? Which was meant for the first, I think, Omega Space or whatever. And then left of it was a beautiful chronograph without a bezel. And to the right was one with an X. And then I looked to the left again. I'm like, Wittnauer. I'm like, Wittnauer Longines. I'm like, hey.
Yeah.
And then to the right was X, and then 265 euros. So I called over the sales representative. I'm like, sorry, what's for sale here? She's like, the Omega. I'm like, why are there 2 extra watches in there? It's like, yeah, very interesting story. Because in 1965, when the NASA wanted a watch, they had different brands sending their watches. And one of them was a Longines Wittnauer, and the other one was Rolex. So I looked at her. I'm like, do you mean that the X is Rolex? Yeah, because if we would write Rolex there, then our neighbors, their neighbors in Amsterdam, our Rolex, would sue us. So we called it X. I'm like, oh, interesting. So does that mean the next watch is a Longines? It's like, oh, I don't know. So I think there is a little hidden gem in that store. So
it's
could
possible.
be
A big watch, though, isn't it? The Wittnauer. We have a friend who loves that watch. You know Martin Green?
Yeah, of course.
Yeah, he loves the Longines Wittnauer, and I think, I'm not sure how happy he'd be if they made it, but
He'd be upset, I think.
But anyways, but we're deviating from the original story. I'm gonna shut up, and you guys are the hosts.
What was the question?
No, it's fascinating.
I've forgotten. Yeah. So that's it. Nice to get to know you, Alon.
Cheers, guys.
Yeah, that's
Lovely. See you next week.
We've done our hour.
Yeah, but I think it was understanding a bit of your collecting philosophy, which is everything,
there is
anything and everything.
There is none. The thing is, I need to restrain myself. In that Swatch store, I almost bought the Amsterdam edition as well, and here, literally behind me, you'll see the G-Shock Bamford. So I was saying I still buy G-Shock. So George is a mate. I went to their third launch party for their collab. Obviously, I bought one. But you know what? At a certain point, I can't keep track. I have now 2 homes, London, Amsterdam. I truly didn't remember where the Sherpa was anymore. And when you reach
Palm's
that
hiding
point,
it. He's not telling you about it.
Yeah.
Well, I should have worn it then. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, the funny thing
Make a
is,
mistake there.
bless Instagram. Whenever whenever it pops up on Instagram, I'm like, oh yeah, it's there. So
Yeah.
no, but on a serious note, there is no red thread, and I actually enjoy it. You can't put me in a box. I don't want to be put in a box. And
Yeah, it's a good way to look at it.
and basically to summarize it, I am amplifying it by saying, hey, I want to experience more. And I don't form opinions until I hold a watch. Hence, my watch that our collabs go on world tours so people can experience them. Because if small brands don't have physical presence in retail or that much, because Sherpa now has today, or they don't go that often to events, then I always say seeing is believing. And since I had the honor to design more and more watches with brands, I want to learn more. And learn, you don't just do by reading and looking online and browsing, but it's feeling. And just to hold it for 10 minutes is not enough either. You need to see it by daylight. You need to see it under candlelight. You need to wear it. Your wrist swells during the day. So how does a stainless steel bracelet behave, and etc.?
So true. So true. I'm thinking where I want to direct this, and there is a direction where we want to take this. But before we go there, is there one specific watch in your collection which you like? That's it. That if you had to lose all the watches you have, which I imagine is many, and you could only keep one, is a one special watch which is like you couldn't go without it. Do you have that one, like your personal grail in a sense?
It's interesting because there is a contradiction between these two, rationale and emotional. Rationally, if you have to boil it down to one watch, and that's what I always tell people that ask for my advice, go for a Gada watch. If you truly want one nice watch, it needs to be waterproof. Often I recommend a steel bracelet, but not always, but rubber-ish or whatever. Because if it's waterproof, then that makes it very difficult suddenly. And that doesn't mean per se it's a grail watch. You understand what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And grail, I guess that all of us true watch nerds always say it's the next one. Because
it's a good answer.
Yeah. We don't want to tap out. Now, I'm not avoiding this question yet, because it's a beautiful...
I was about to say, it's very political of you the way you're answering this.
No, because...
Yeah, definitely media trained.
No, well, I'm not. But on a serious note, I literally do not think every day about watches. It probably dominates not only the majority of my day awake, it also creeps into my dreams. So I guess that, and if you put a gun to my head, if I had to, I'd probably boil it down to my Rolex GMT that my parents gave me on my 21st birthday, because I've always loved that watch, the Pepsi. It's a weird one because it's an GMT 1, but the first generation Sapphire. So perfect Gada watch. And I've customized it because it had a Jubilee bracelet, but it was Chambly.
Okay.
So I always would call it the Funfair bracelet. So I upgraded it. I had to save up money. I remember exactly how many guilders and how many hours I worked for that. And there's a cool story to that because I went to the Dutch equivalent of Watches of Switzerland. And I went to that lady and I didn't ask for a discount. I just saved up the retail price. And then she's like, hey, aren't you that son of? And she's like, and I told her the story that I saved up, worked during summers to buy it. And then she gave me a discount because she liked my story. And the irony of it, she retired at 65, but she was very fit. So I hired her and she worked for me for like 6 years afterwards. So that was a cool story as a colleague. It's all about stories, right? And emotions. And
were you not worried she would give discounts at your store
No.
if she liked the story?
no, because you know why? If somebody deserves a discount, it's for people that have these stories.
Yeah.
Well, this is a tip for all you buyers out there. Never ever assume you get discounts and never demand it or whatever. Maybe tell a retailer why you hope to get one. That creates a lot of sympathy in our business. It works that way. And a tip for all of you, boys and girls, even if you think those publicly listed gigantic groups like Watches of Switzerland, boutique managers and assistant boutique managers still have a bit of freedom. It might not be discounts, maybe a very nice giveaway, jump you on the waiting list, give you nice chocolates, etc. So again, I always say treat your jeweler as you want to be treated, and they will treat you like they want to be treated. So it goes both ways, but we're deviating from the story. So you basically posed a two-pronged question. If I had
Let's
to
start with
boil
question one, yeah.
if you had to boil it down,
Go back to the start.
boil it down, it's that GMT, and one that's on my list might be, I believe it's a 1675 with a Bakelite bezel
Okay.
and a gilt dial. Although I don't like gilt, that is something I utterly love, but I really do not like the ceramic ones. So I'm not too bothered they discontinued the Pepsi GMT ceramic, and I've never owned one. Grail, it honestly changes all the time. A very, very, very long time it has been in Journe Resonance. I love resonance watches.
Incredible piece.
So, but remember, when I liked it, they were 40K, not the amounts they are today.
I don't even know what we go for.
I don't know either, and I don't look, but it might be that an Armin Strom will be
That's
in
so
the
cool.
near
Armin Strom.
future. Yeah. So I like the technicality of it. I'm not so much with the brand name. I think that on the Obtainium Grail list is a beaver. That has to be my next one. So I'm saving up for that.
Nice. Awesome. That's a
Was
really
that
good insight.
politically incorrect, gentlemen?
It was perfect.
Politically
It was good.
incorrect? Well, we'll see. We'll see how
We'll
this
see
goes.
what the listeners say.
So far, so good, but let's see if it clashes with anything else we're going to say. But no, that was an amazing answer. I mean, I can't remember what the question was, but I was entertained throughout. But no, but seriously, no. I know your Grail watch. It's interesting that GMT Master is considered one of your favorite watches. Is it the story behind it or the aesthetics as well? To me, I think the GMT Master 1 or 2 is probably the best looking watch in the Rolex catalogue that they've made. But what is it about that makes you like it so much? Again, is it the story or the look?
So as a kid, going through the Swatch G-Shock era, and then the new trends being made, the Chronomats, the Da Vinci, and then the Portuguese chronograph, also 1985. That was ingrained in my mind. I still have one. Love that watch. Jajala Culture, I've always loved as a kid. Always wanted a Reverso. Owned one, a Blue Monday, literally for one day, because I'm not so much a rectangular guy, although I recently bought two, but I'm getting into it. And that's as a kid. And then a Patek Perpetual, always wanted one. And then there wasn't much. And then what popped my mind, blew my mind, was Vianney Halter with Antiqua. And that got me into Indies. And then you had Martin and Fix with Uwe, blew my mind. So I've always wanted an UR103. I managed to buy one a few years ago. And then obviously Max Busser, I was following him at Harry Windsor with his opuses. Then he started his own brand, blew my mind. So that's the fascination for indies. If you think about it, and why I like these podcasts, they're very therapeutic for us nutters, watch nerds, because talking about it, you find answers. If you think about it, the Rolex GMT is very quirky. They never made something with black, blue, and red. And there was a reason to it. It was a tool watch. It was made for pilots. Yeah. It was Pan Am pilots. So it was very commercial driven because that was their logo, blue, white, and red. Dutch flag, by the way. And it was quirky. And so obviously I loved the Sub. I loved an Explorer 1. Coming up in my late teens, going in my 20s, I was in uni. And I don't know, it always appealed to me. I loved the 2 time zones. It had a functionality. I wanted to study in New York. I went to New York after, so I actually needed 2 time zones. And let's be realistic, it's a form, follow, functions watch. It has nothing to do with aesthetics.
That's
it's
what
not
I was going to say. Was it form or function? But I think it is. I think it just looks, the whole is better than the sum of its parts.
But if they made if they made Datejusts and they made day dates, it's a style clash for Rolex. And maybe that's why it appealed to me. I always like the outliers. I like the Milgauw. I like the Erking with the quirky numbers and the green and the yellow. And so let's do a game. Let's all shout yay or nay. 1, 2, 3. Land dweller. Yay.
Yay. Yeah. I like it.
Yeah. I like it.
But when it came out, we probably said yay immediately, which made us the outliers in the 10% that liked it.
The only thing was the name. I didn't. I just thought the name was a nay. But you get used to it. Like a year later on, it's the Land Dweller. It cannot be called anything else.
Let's be realistic.
It just sticks in your mind.
I'm sorry for all of those that will now stop the episode and don't want to listen to me anymore. But
don't stop. Just listen to us instead.
No, but let's be realistic. Would it have been Sea Dweller today? We would have disliked it as much. We're just used to it because it's been around donkey decades, not donkey years. These names have been around, but they're all stupid names if you think about it.
No, but I think you say that. Like the Sea Dweller, it's a diver watch, so it dwells
in the sea.
In the sea. The Sky Dweller is a travel watch. Yeah, so
where do you dwell the most?
Dwells in the
where
sky.
do we dwell the most? On land.
Yeah, but then I know, but it's just what makes that such a land person's watch? I mean, that's the thing. That
when I chillax,
there's nothing. There's no defining factor.
On the beach. And I want to flex with
True,
my
the
diamond,
beach dweller then. Maybe we need a beach dweller then.
Beach dweller, that's a good one. Beach dweller's great.
Beach dweller, yeah.
No, but okay, but
we need to collab that with Swatch.
No, yeah, but we're dwelling here. So
let's not dwell on this.
Yeah, no. So I hope I answered your question, and it's also tied into childhood memories, right? So where does my fashion? I have basically only 2 hardcore hobbies: watches, shoes. I do love, utterly adore cars. I have here a handmade painting of a Defender, but it's not on par with sneakers and watch. If you look at my bookshelves here, it's all watches and sneakers, and it's all these mental anchors since your childhood, right? So it made an impression on me as a kid, and it sits with you. So the resonance thing, when I've read, so first I saw 2 clocks in one round 38mm case. I'm like, why did he do that for 2 time zones? And then you're like, resonance, what is that? And then I remembered I had that in physics class, the concept of, so I'm like, wow. So although it's a very old theory, and they used to do it in clocks and in pocket watches, and for somebody who knows the history of watchmaking, it's not that spectacular. But F.P. Journe, Francois, put it in my mind. So that's a mental anchor.
It's a fascinating complication, Bose, as well, at a grail level. When I first saw that as well, the FP Journe, it resonated with me somewhat. Just like, how do you do it?
There you go.
No pun intended, Andy. No pun intended.
No pun. Or maybe it was a little intended. But, I think just getting back to learning a bit more how you function, and it leads more to...
I don't function. I'm an utter mess.
But leading...
I'm a hot mess.
Yeah.
Exactly. You're functioning at a high level, too high for most human beings.
Leading back to the podcasting side, this is maybe a tricky question to position, but as a watch dealer, for example, myself and Pam, we talk about watches. Some brands, we say, or particular models within a brand we will like or maybe we don't like. So, for example, like you've worked with Frederic Constant with collaborations, etc., great pieces. Say there's a case where there's a Frederic Constant what you don't particularly like and it comes up on the podcast. How do you balance that relationship with a brand whilst trying to stay authentic to the audience? Hopefully that's not too hard a question to answer, but it's just curious, really.
It's a very good journalistic question and a very good question. So thank you for that. Maybe to give you an evolution. So those that know me, what you see is what you get. I'm a loose cannon. I'm indeed the high ball of energy, and I do the F that I want. To be able to do that, you need independence.
Yeah.
So in the family business, I don't have a boss. I don't have shareholders. My brother and I own the company 50-50 since 2012. And thank God our dad is around and still willing and able to help us. So we have him around, which is banter all the time. Then we willingly and unwillingly let go of brands. Willingly means we handed them in. Unwillingly, they opened monobrand boutiques around the corner and we lost. But willingly, we handed them in for the sole reason we wanted less headache, meaning we implement a zero asshole policy in our company. My brother and I do not deal with assholes. All around. 360. Not suppliers, not customers, no stakeholders whatsoever. So, sheer fun. Means I always say to brands what I think. I say to customers what I think. Can go both ways. I'll tell them honestly, I don't think a watch suits them. If they're assholes, I'll tell them I won't sell you a watch because you're an asshole. So it can go both ways. But luckily for me, it tips more than 80% to the right, meaning I go for the long haul. I want to treat people like I want to be treated. I always say ACE is by watch nerds for watch nerds. We don't go for the quick sale. I want you to be a friend of ours. Our boutiques, our showrooms, I call them candy stores for adults. We want you to come back to have fun. It's not about the quick win. I want everybody who comes into our doors becomes an ambassador. With that sheer passion for watches, I started the ACE list live, which I did interviews. Obviously, you start with the brands that you retail, talk to them, and then I started inviting brands or friends that I don't sell. But then they came on the show, and it triggered people to ask to buy that product from me, but I didn't sell it, so it created confusion. From that, the Real-Time Show was born. The stars aligned. Rob Nuds exactly finished his job at the Fratello Watches. We were used to be longtime mates. And then I said, dude, I have an issue with the ACE list. Let's venture out, do a new name, totally separate of everything you and I do. We call it the Real-Time Show because it's real. We say whatever we want, meaning we're independent. We don't sell any ads. We're objective, but we're not commercial. So that's the downside of it all. And then brands asked us to do collabs. We thought about it for a long time, and we decided we're not going to become retailers. We're fully transparent about the fact that we co-design a watch. We don't do anything else. If a product is sold, we get a little kickback that finances the whole operation, because you guys know how much it costs to run a podcast. But we're a team of 4 hosts. We air once a week, and we've already surpassed, I believe, 360 or 270 episodes. We're media partners of British Watchmakers Days,
Wow.
Time to Watches, Geneva Watch Days, Miko Praha, and I might have forgotten. So,
Limited edition.
the limited edition. And the funny thing is, it's run like a business. There's hardly any income, and we don't sell anything. But the beauty of it is we can say whatever we want. Now, the example of Frederic Constant is a bad one because the CEO is a friend for a quarter of a century. He's Dutch, and you know Dutch are very blunt. I can say to him whatever I want on air. So that's a bad example. But if Rob and I know that we would say something and means that that brand will never come on the show, we'll still say it. We never do it disrespectfully, right? We try to come from an intellectual angle, an analytical angle, a philosophical angle. And if we don't like a product, we'll say why we don't like it. But it has nothing to do with bashing. There's a big difference between that. There's some colleagues of you and ours that do it for clickbait, or it's a persona or an act. Good for them, not my cup of tea. I always say Rob and I do a bit of the long tail. So it's for those that want the insights, want deeper knowledge, either on technicality of products, because Rob is a watchmaker. Maybe they want more business insights. I'm a retailer. Whereas it could be seen as a disadvantage that we're subjective, we're actually even more objective because we know more about the industry. Does that answer the question?
Very well. Yeah, it's a great answer.
With the podcast, when you two got together, I believe you worked together at one point before as well. What did you think? Right, this is our not mission statement. That's
it is though.
What was when you got together? What was it you said? This is what we want to do. You know, in a sentence, this is what we want to do.
So honestly, the maybe only reason I'm doing it is because I like it. So I enjoy it. It's out of sheer hobby. And Rob and I met. We became friends actually. That I've been hunting Nomos Glacéter for decades. On his first day as a country manager, I met him at Basel World. And because of him, he convinced the management to give us a dealership. And we hit it off from day one and always stayed friends, even when he left Nomos. We always stayed in touch. We were friends, talking, chatting. He was at Fratello. I interviewed him for the Ace List. He interviewed me for Fratello. And that's when we had the air miles of working together on the mic. And we had good chemistry.
You do, definitely.
So besides that, we're mates. We also have chemistry on the mic or in front of a camera. And we didn't make a business plan. The mission statement was this: share passion, knowledge, and interview whomever we want to talk to. And that's it. And that's what we've been doing since day one. We've had the honor to add David Vaucher to the mix, Scarlett Baker to the mix, and there are a few more coming soon. And the thing is, we started off producing content twice a week, but the feedback we got is, hey guys, you're creating so much content, we can't keep track. Please slow your roll. And that's the reason we went back to once a week, because we technically have 4 or 5 types of shows on our channel, which is the interviews, the Q&A. So we have user-generated content that people send in their questions and we answer them on the show. We have a new concept that we made up 3 years ago. We write our own articles, which we don't publish as text. We read them out as an article. And then afterwards, we analyze the article. So usually it's an opinion piece. And then we bash each other on the mic, let's say. So we don't agree on the mic. And sometimes we do product reviews, which is a bit less. And then we have these games that we do around GPHG, Only Watch, and the specials during trade shows.
I can see you like your games. I think we've played 3 already. On air. We have had Rob on the show, so for the listeners, if you haven't heard that episode, check out episode 16 with Rob Nuds, who is Alon's partner in crime on the Real Time Show. And if you haven't heard the Real Time Show podcast, check that out too. I'll drop a link in the description. So I've got a question for you. You've made a massive move. You've left your home of Amsterdam and you've started to operate in London. Tell us what made you choose London. What's the difference between the London scene and the Amsterdam scene? And actually, why did you choose to do that?
So to clarify for our listeners that are not that familiar with me, because I have multiple hats on. So with Ace Jewelers, we made gigantic pivots. I said that the biggest pivot was the zero asshole policy. And with that, how do you gain more fun in the watch industry? Is to work with the indies. The free spirits, they're all about having fun. It's a symbiosis in that sense. So we started retailing more and more independent brands. And what's important to know is my wife is English. So I've been visiting London, and she is from London, for almost 2 decades already, because we're almost 2 decades together. It feels like a second home to me. There were 2 monumental things that happened in Amsterdam. My brother and I have decided that we didn't believe in the classic model of high street retail, paying gigantic rents, and then sitting like a sitting duck, copy-paste of brands worldwide with or without a monobrand and these shops and etc. So we pivoted in Amsterdam into a by appointment only showroom that is townhouse-esque, which we did in London in Mayfair, the same thing. Together with that, we got approached by Ming, and they've asked us if we wanted to become their exclusive retailer in Europe. So that was a big honor. We did that. And let's be realistic, in Europe, the capitals of watches are London, Paris, Milan, and a bit Munich maybe. And if you really do a deep dive and analyze the markets, the real connoisseurs in the stealth world is in London. Because in the wake of Ming, we added J. Shapiro exclusive in Europe. And then slowly we started stacking brands. We had Biver approach us, Renault Tixier. Around Geneva Watch Week, we're announcing another horological brand. So Amsterdam, London is interesting. What I didn't anticipate and only realized after we opened in London, I didn't realize or didn't remember, you guys in the UK don't have VAT refunds anymore. There's no tax rebates, which in the EU we have. There's a symbiosis there. We already had a huge London customer base. So we didn't start from zero. And I think the London community was already very strong. But the last 5 years, British watchmaking and watch brands have been booming. It's as if the stars aligned. And now that I've been there and I've hosted now maybe 5-6 events myself and frequented over 24, it's great fun.
Yeah. And you've also started the Boysdale Watch Club, which is held at the Boysdale. And I've been to 2 of those events and have thoroughly enjoyed both of those. Tell me a bit about that, because you're starting a bit of a community here as well with Boysdale. It's yourself, Stephen, and Ranald. But yeah, just tell us a bit about that, because I find it very interesting that how that came about too.
I had the honor to found the chapter for Red Bar over 6 years ago in Amsterdam. So I've experienced hosting there. So I love watches so much, and not everything has to be commercial and has to be tight taste. So coming to London, people warned me. On the outside, it seems gigantic and there's a lot going on in London, but it's a small group. And it's often the same. Everybody comes for drinks. There's no commerciality. And if you get more than 30 people, you're lucky. So I'm like, okay. I thought the numbers were low in Amsterdam, so I expected a 10x in London because the city is 10 times bigger. My mom is Persian, and with Persians, hospitality is very important. You welcome your guests with at least a few drinks and a lot of food. To me, it struck as very odd that there was nothing to eat at London events. So I said, this is something we need to change. Everything we do well or we don't do it. So there have to be good drinks. And a lot of people told me, yeah, they usually come in half an hour, and then they sort off. And the people want you to sort off. I'm like, well, that's weird. I'm like, if you're hosting an event, I'm used to, if it's 3 hours, people leave after 4 hours. And if you do 2 hours, it's 3 hours. That struck me as odd. Now, so I had in the back of my mind, I'm like, what am I going to do for Ace? The showroom in London is too small to host more than 10, 15 people. And I'm used to 50 to 100 guests at a time. Everybody warned me, watch out, you can't find venues in London. It's all difficult and expensive and it's full. We opened up this summer and I wanted to do something in November, December. Everybody told me you'll never find a venue. Okay. Well, nice story. Stephen Lee, also a famous guy in the English watch scene, who is a wholesaler, and I also do some wholesale activities with him. He introduced me to Randall McDonald, the owner of the Boysdale restaurants. He has a restaurant in Belgravia and one in Canary Wharf, and he's famous for the fact that he has excellent cuisine, doesn't want a Michelin star, but is at that level, and does live music. Cigar lounge, whiskey lounge, has a Negroni bar in the Belgravia area. I'm like, wow, this gentleman is cut from the same wood, or cut from the same cloth, do you say?
Cloth, yeah.
Cloth. We met up. He asked me to write articles for his Boysdale Life magazine, because once in a while I do a bit of freelance journalism writing as well. And that's how the friendship started. And I came up with the idea to set up the Boysdale Horological Society more as a platform that is not so much commercial, but to create a third-party location where you can do things that are not commercial per se. So lectures, brands can use, retailers can use, like Ace. So of the few that have been, Ace used some, but not all. And my fellow colleagues like the limited edition, Time and Tide, Swiss Gallery, and whatever retailers in London, UK are welcome to use it. And so does Red Bar Crew. We're talking to Lucy and Justin from London Watch Week to see if we can help them if they need to grow their activities during the London Watch Week in June. I like to build bridges. The more, the merrier. So we started this, and a little scoop for you. There's a big chance that even before summer, we might bring Jean-Claude Biver for a lecture to London.
Ooh, well.
And that's my mission. It has nothing to do with commerciality. It's how cool will it be to see. We can curse on this show, right?
A little bit.
How bad?
No,
is it the
no,
C
it's
word?
It's very simple. I am quoting JCB that he shouts,
Okay,
"God damn, I want to do this." Who doesn't want to see that live instead of on YouTube?
To meet Jean-Claude Biver, he's a larger-than-life character. We haven't met him
Legend.
once at Watches and Wonders. He told us off a little bit as well, actually, but I take that as a badge of honour.
Why? Did you eat too much cheese?
No. I don't know if we can say, but I'll tell the story. So
Go on, tell
this
us.
is just assuming.
I don't know if he did tell us off that much. I'm not sure.
No, it was funny. It was.
It was
quite-
more, it wasn't a telling off. It was just more of a, We'll
It was.
we'll
It was
say
a proper. It was like, why are you called? So basically, he still showed us all the watches. He didn't boot us out or anything. He was just a bit confused with our name, and it kind of clashes with a retailer in Paris that he knows very well. I think he thought we were them, and when he turned
came
up, he
ready
kind
out.
of thought,
It's like,
"Who
who
are
are
these
these
guys?"
And we were new. We were still new to the scene.
Yeah, we
back then,
were just
relatively.
literally brand new. And he was just like, why are you called this? And we said, oh, no, we're 2 words, Chrono Passion, 2 words, and a 7 on the end. It was like, no, Chrono Passion should be Chrono Passion. And we were like, okay. But then he did calm down. He did calm down after that. But he got
Once
a
we
little
complimented
bit,
the
a little bit
watches.
heated, yeah. A little bit heated, yeah.
Yeah, but you know what? He's right, though. But did you guys, well, in your defense, did you know there was a retailer called Chrono Passion when you chose the name?
No,
No, we
So,
didn't know.
There you go.
found out
And-
after.
And what is the 7? What does the 7 stand for?
The 7 is for luck. And also in football, soccer, as they say in the United States, number 7 is the best player in the team.
Okay, so there you go. Jean-Claude will
That
tell
is
you when you
meaning.
come to meet the gentleman in person in London. But in your defense, our wholesale company is called Chrono Time, founded
Yeah.
almost a quarter century ago, but today you have 5 or 6. I have an issue now. There's an Ace Jewelers now popped up in London after we registered our limited company.
Ah,
Oh,
okay.
Yeah, so you have the same issue. If you use generic words, what do? Do you sue?
you can't protect
do
that.
you
Yeah.
do you do stay your own?
Well, he wouldn't get much money out of us. To
Inherit
be
our
honest with
debt.
you, to be fair, I kept Laurent Picciotto. I did on Instagram. I kept liking a lot of his stuff and commenting, and then he did comment Chrono Passion ? And I said, and I explained, oh, we are, and he goes, okay, but that was on an Instagram conversation. I'm not sure how valid that is. I also spoke to his daughter, Eleanor.
Elle.
Yeah, and I told her the story, and she just didn't seem to really care either
it's a
because she was down
generic
in London
name,
for a Piaget event. Yeah,
It's a
and
generic-
and the reason why we chose this name is we were getting a lot of feedback from what we did because we were traveling around on our own coin. You've got a lot of passion, you guys, so we had to have passion in the name. And Time Passion doesn't sound particularly great. What else could you do? Perpetual Passion already exists. I think that's a YouTube channel called Perpetual Passion or a podcast.
Yeah.
So, yeah,
Perpetual Time, I think.
No, there's a Perpetual Passion as well.
Oh, as
And
well.
then, so we didn't know about this shop. I mean, we didn't know. Check
No,
out Chrono Passion in Paris, which sells independent watches, and
Yeah.
check them out.
Yeah, we should just be media partners
should.
with them, really.
They are a legendary
share
thing. We
the
didn't. We
name.
only found out afterwards, and that was it. You know, and the 7 obviously is totally different from. If you had Ace Jewelers 19 or something, that would probably make you sound different, right?
Well, you would be doing me a favor because it's indeed lead generation, which you just did for Lolo in Paris as well.
Yeah, exactly.
That's true. There you go. Linking back to London, how have you found it fitting in with, like is the limited edition, Pietro, Wally, Sam, legends, great guys, and then you've got Time and Tide as well with Andrew McCutcheon. How do you find yourself fitting in? Does it feel competitive or does it feel supportive? With
Not
that?
competitive
Because
at all.
It's just boomed.
Yeah, not competitive
which is
at all,
great.
and that's for 2 reasons.
Yeah.
A, I'm friends with all of them. for a long time. Andrew McCutcheon is a friend for over a decade. Pietro Olli for almost 5 years. Nadim from Swiss Gallery for a few years. We actually even supply Swiss Gallery with our wholesale division. So it's very, very tightly knit and very collegial. And the second thing is, because we bring new brands to the UK, it can't even be competitive, because Ming, we're the first ones to bring it to the UK. Shapiro were the first to bring to the UK. That being said, Biver and Renault Tixier are officially authorized for the Netherlands, because Nadim sells Renault Tixier in London. Beaver is with Bucherer, I believe. So, but it's very collegial. I'm good friends with the CEO of Bucherer as well in HQ. So, not at all.
That's good. Yeah. So it's a supportive community. It's not
No,
nobody's stepping on each other's toes whatsoever.
And it's a gigantic city. Yeah.
Cool. No, it's fascinating. Yeah.
So you've spoken about Biver and Renault Tixier, because that does tie into my next question. What's your opinion on the market right now? I mean, there are a lot of challenges with watches and desirability to consumers or new consumers, or like I say, just generally consumers. Sales of watches it does not seem as popular to be buying watches as it was, say, 12 months ago or a bit earlier than that. What is your take on that? As actually someone who sells them, I'm just someone who talks about watches. And also, does that influence the market positioning of the brands you choose to take on, like Renault Tixier, Biver, very high end, but then you do Ming, you say, very different price point. What would be the influencer to make you choose the brands that you choose, especially in this market?
I'll end your suffering of putting it politically correct and delicately. I'll cut through everything. Sales are horrible. The markets are horrible. For our listeners, this is recorded 2 weeks after the Iran war started. So that obviously has an immediate impact on luxury spending. The last 12 months haven't been easy, very volatile. I don't think it's going to be easy. The world is literally on fire, and it's been already in turmoil the last 12, 18, 24 months. These tariffs by Trump for US sales didn't help, because we sell a lot to the US as well. So that has an impact on us. And the US is number one market. That being said, we have an extremely long-term vision. We don't do things for today, tomorrow, or the next day. We don't even look ahead 1 year. We look ahead 5 years, 10 years. For the second part of your question, to answer that, no, we don't make decisions based on what's happening today. We have decided to do less volume. Hence, we left high street retail and went into one-on-one by appointment retailing. We want to do less pieces, more attention. That's the summary. With that means that we're moving up market, more indies, more horologerie. So we're letting go of the lower price tickets and the more generic things. So it's twofold. A, we simply can't give the attention we want if it's a high volume product. And secondly, if it becomes too generic, we don't enjoy it so much anymore. And we don't think that Ace jewelers can add value, if that makes sense.
So transfixed with what you say, I just forget everything. But brands like Biver and Renault Tixier, to pick those, what process would you have to say, this is what I want?
For retailers, it works like individuals collectors. You kind of have a grail list and a wish list and etc. Now, I'm very fortunate with both Ming and Biver, because they came to us. I never in my wildest dreams thought that they would grant us a dealership, although we would have wanted to. Renault Tixier is a bit reversed engineering, because what we are announcing in April has to do with that legend, Mr. Renault. And then, and then we reversed engineered. Then we said we would love to have Renault Tixier. So that's how it went. Shapiro is even different. We became friends on a personal level, and we started dating without saying it almost. So it was very organic, but I don't think that I would have gotten the dealership if I've never met him. And I don't think we would have gone exclusivity for Europe if we didn't get along, because he trusts me and I trust him blindly. So something I can't share is I want to be an Ureg dealer for 26 years. And that's how long they exist. And that comes from sheer subjective desire because I wanted to watch this
Passion.
myself. So no, but I utterly love their watches. I love the guys. I love what they do. And imagine this creativity for over a quarter of a century is bonkers. And there is no business case behind it because honestly, the Dutch market isn't such a big indie horologerie market. And in London, my friend Nadim has the dealership. So it doesn't come from commerciality. It's actually very selfish reasoning and wanting, and very subjective.
Yeah, okay.
Not so much objective. If you want a money maker, you want Omega Patek and Cartier and Rolex, but there's not so much fun in it because you're selling no all day long. Well, Omega, you're not selling no. Cartier, maybe no, but Rolex Patek, you're selling no all day long. There's no fun in it.
That's an interesting one. You mentioned, because we independence and mainstream. So I was listening to one of my favorite podcasts, and they had Julian Tonare on there from Hublot. Yeah. What they have seen is the biggest money they make is from piece uniques. Mm-hmm. That's their real money maker. The Hublot watches that they sell, okay, that there's a good portion of profit, but that almost kind of bleeds into the independent. Everything you get independent is pretty much a unique piece that's made for a very limited time in a small run. Would you agree? But that's possibly the best way to go.
If I may be so blunt, I do think we need to dissect that, because I don't think he meant pièces uniques. I haven't heard the interview, but because it's known fact that the pièces uniques and how high the ticket prices are, 100K, half a mil, 1 mil, 10 mil, 20 mil, the margins are very slim. They do that as they are flagship pieces, and sometimes they don't even do marketing on it. But those that buy it obviously are the great ambassadors you want. I think what you mean, if I may,
made to order pieces.
No, I think that what they mean is the limited edition runs. Because let's be realistic.
He didn't mean that.
Oh no, maybe that, I don't know, but. And then
I'll send you the podcast.
Please do. But since people won't hear my opinion on it because I haven't heard it by then, I don't believe it if he did say that.
Okay.
It's an industrial. For argument's sake, let's take a position and argue it, debate it. The watch business is one of scales of economy. There's millions of R&D cost in a caliber or whatever. It's very simple. The less pieces you make, the less ROI you have. So, and either the ticket price becomes very high. I believe the money makers for Hublot are models that are evergreens. So the classic Fusion and the Unico and the chronographs that are black, white, and gray and blue. And they just jam them out. It's not the one-time ceramic Big Bang Fusion magic gold that you make one time, you understand? To develop the magic gold costs them millions. So you need to produce more of these cases. But that's a different argument. So for the independent and mainstream, it maybe boils down to the fact that you guys asked me, what do you add to the landscape? Is by being different, doing different. Small is beautiful and very personalized. And let's be realistic. It's a winner's takes all economy right now. Who are going to win? It's the Buchers, the Watches of Switzerland of this world, the 1916, the Hourglass. You need sheer volume with very high ROIs. Or you have to tumble down our route. But the little Puppets and Mom stores that used to sell Tissot, Longines, Tudor, and Meiji Omega, that's over.
Okay, that's an interesting insight on that. Yeah, because it's a tough time, right? It's a shame.
It's tough, but we love a challenge. I love the underdogs, and it makes it exciting. I tell you, ask anybody who sells Rolex and Patek, and especially the sales staff, they freaking hate it. Yeah, because
must be depressing.
Either they sell no all day long, and if they do sell a yes, it's like shoving boxes. If you ask them what they enjoy most, it's those stories that somebody comes in, I'm looking for a graduation gift, a birthday gift, an anniversary. It also adds fun and color to their day. You should actually interview maybe those sales stuff. It's very interesting, these stories.
Definitely be curious if any would be brave enough to come on, on the show.
You should try maybe Well, you
As
should
a
maybe
mystery.
invite,
Yeah.
I think his name is Charlie Pragnall, the owner of Pragnall's. It's very interesting.
Mm.
The owners of Barry Jewelers, maybe Beavers Brooks, if you want to stay in the English landscapes. I think they have amazing stories.
Yeah.
Or maybe Lola from Chrono
Fascinating.
Passion.
Yeah, if we can, we will.
Well, I'll tell you, that would be a
Yeah, that'd be
dream
full
show.
circle, then.
For me, that would just be a dream.
Yeah,
It'd be validation
definitely.
that we can carry on calling ourselves
So,
this.
so invite him.
Yeah, full circle. But I think it's good to finish just on a bit of a positive note, maybe, and just maybe highlight some of the brands what have stood out to you so far in 2026. So, okay, it's a bit of doom and gloom. Hopefully, we pass through that. My perspective, I saw 2025, for example, as maybe a shift towards independence. I think mainstream, at least in the overall influencer space and journalism space, I think there was more excitement around the independent scene last year than maybe mainstream. But maybe others wouldn't agree with that. Moving into 2026, like what brands do you see standing out, and do you think there's still that shift towards independent, or do you think it's a bit of a pullback to mainstream, or maybe, in your opinion, there was neither anyway?
I don't know what type of listeners you have. It's tunnel vision. What we have. It's because it excites us. That's what your attention is focused on. But that being said, you are right, because let's talk about Rolex and Omega, for example. They didn't have big hits last year. The year before they did, especially Rolex, with the puzzle and the celebration down. I don't know what. They did the pistachio and I don't know what that was, and the oyster perpetuals, but a bit boring. Now, Omega, I liked the Omega Planet Ocean 600, the new one, but that was made for the geeks. The mainstream didn't like that case. It's too edgy, literally too edgy for them. I get excited about the beautiful orange ceramic bezel because it's very difficult to make orange ceramic. Because the biggest reason Rolex pulled back the Pepsi is because they had issues fusing the red and blue ceramic in a flush straight line at the 3 and 9 o'clock. From a technical point of view, that interests me. I'm very subjective here because I love Ming and always done before I became a retailer. I'm a retailer now, but the Starlight they launched this year with the integrated bracelet and the Vaucher caliber really got me excited, especially on the design level, although they're a bit late to the integrated bracelet party.
What would you like to see, maybe, would be a better way of phrasing
Well,
it?
you know what I've been saying quite some time, and especially as a tip to brands, it really don't have something new. It's okay to lay back a year. Don't make something for argument's sake because you have to be at a fair and bring it like a big hoo-ha.
This is a question I have just on that point, and it does bother me. I think about this a lot. Is what if a big brand went to Watches and Wonders and didn't change a dial color? Let's say Rolex, for example. I mean, a lot of the Daytonas, the GMTs, maybe not Submariners, day dates. It's a dial change pretty much, or maybe some precious stones put in there, or in a precious metal version. What do you think would happen if 2027 Rolex say, right, no new releases at Watches and Wonders?
Rolex is a bad example because I always call that a brand that is not revolution but evolution.
Yeah.
So for them it doesn't matter. Okay, and besides, it's the number one known brand in the world and probably one of the most profitable in ROI sense. So it's a bad example. But let's take a lesser hero that is not so exciting but is a good money maker. Although, actually, I liked what Raymond Weil did this year and the 50th anniversary. But let's take Maurice Lacroix. I call these brands that are 12 in a dozen. Yeah. If you switch names, you might not know. Or Beaumercier.
Yeah. Same. Yeah,
They're lucky they got sold now. But there hasn't been anything exciting there in years. Or let's take Panerai.
Panerai is a big one, I think. They do release new watches and even tag to an extent. Tailor, they release new watches and then it's almost like, I don't know how different it would have been if they didn't release those watches.
The thing is, I understand why they do it because these fairs used to be geared 80-90% to retailers, trade fairs, bit of press. That pivoted with social media and digital media to 50-50. Today, Watches and Wonders is almost press, consumers in the weekend, and then retailers are second-tier class people on fairs, okay? Geneva Watch Days is more and more geared around press and collectors. is not even that relevant for retailers anymore from the perspective of the retailers. So you need to understand the raison d'être, the reason of being for these fairs. So they want to have media. They need press releases. Okay. And usually they bought in a few years that they have to be present at these fairs. So that's an issue. So what do? Collabs could have covered a lot of that ground, right?
Yeah.
Could have
that's a
solved
big way to... Yeah, I think that's the future collabs for some of these situations. But yeah, sorry, you were saying...
Oh, I just had one pop in my mind I got excited about. I mentioned the Portuguese chronograph. I got excited about their full blacked out Seratanium one. The curveball you wouldn't expect.
Oh, okay.
They made a full blacked out pilot one. It works well. They did it before Watches and Wonders. I guess that means they have a lot of fireworks this year at the fair. Otherwise, they wouldn't have released it 5 weeks before the fair.
Okay, interesting. Yeah, that was only last week they released. I saw a release of it. There was an event they put on. Okay, thanks, Alon. That was a great insight into something that really, really bugs me. But yeah, I think it is time for us to go. We've taken a lot of our listeners' time for now.
I hope we added a bit to their lives. Either banter, smiles, or knowledge. Because that's what we're here for.
I know, and I think we're just warming up. We're just warming up, so there will be a part 2. We are going to bring Alon back on.
If they want to. You can yay or nay in the comment section.
No, we yay. We yay. If you can catch him, if we can catch Alon, we'll bring him back on. Because he's a very busy man, yeah.
You know what we haven't done, actually? We've not plugged the website. Once we've been so captivated with Alon's storytelling. But make sure to go to the website where all the links, references to everything we've talked about where applicable will be within the show notes. So go to www.chronopassion7, as in the number 7.com, where you can listen along and enjoy all the visual aid along with that. We'll drop all the links as well to Ace Jewelers and the real-time show. But with that said, I'll keep it short and sweet. It's hasta luego, adios from Barcelona. Thank you so much, Alon, for your time from my side. And I'll hand over to Pam for the final sign-off.
As Andy says, farewell from Barcelona in Spain. Alon, is there anything you'd like to say from Amsterdam?
Thank you. I've thoroughly enjoyed it. I hope the listeners did as well, and would be honored to come back on.
That would be awesome, and I'm sure they'd love to hear that. But we do have to wrap up. So you have been listening to Chrono Passion 7 on the CP7 podcast. And from London, it's Toodle Pip and laters, and we'll see you, and you'll hear us in the next one.